Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just going to kind of sit down and chat to you all about my first impressions of sixth form, my honest opinion, how I'm finding it, etc. So this video is probably going to be quite long. It's probably going to be a bit of a ramble, a bit of a chit chat, so get yourself a snack, get yourself a drink, and let's chat. So when this video goes up, I will have been at sixth form for just over a month. And I am in year 12 if you're wondering, so first year of my A-levels. And also things that I talk about in this video obviously may not apply to college if you do go and do your A-levels at a college, because I know that they are quite different in the ways that they work. So just bear that in mind if you are here to kind of find out about college, because I'm sure there's better people to ask than me, because as I've said and as you can see by the title, I do go to a sixth form. So I'm just going to get straight in there, and firstly I'm going to start with my first week, which was actually only 3 days long because we started on Wednesday for some reason. So we had it was actually like 2.5 days at school, and that was my first week. But in those 2.5 days, despite them being very short, and it was kind of like summer holidays, secondary school and then weekend again, I found it quite overwhelming, to be completely honest. I don't really know what I was expecting for sixth form. I mean, I feel like I was prepared for A-levels in the sense that so many people had told me about them. I'd watched so many videos on it. But I mean, I don't think you can ever be fully prepared for it. I don't think you can ever know fully what to expect from it, because you could have people tell you 1,000 times, oh my god, yeah, it's such a big jump from GCSE, it's completely different, but I don't think you fully understand actually how different it is until you experience it, because it's one thing saying there's a jump and knowing there's going to be a jump, and then another thing experiencing that jump. So yeah, I found the first week quite overwhelming in the sense that at the end of year 11, you basically get to the point, if you've done the revision and you've worked hard, you pretty much know everything. You know the drill, you know the specification, and you know kind of where you're going to go and what grades you're going to get, and you're just fully prepared. And it's going from that in year 11 to knowing nothing in year 12. And obviously you may know something because obviously you've got to do the GCSE to actually do the A-level. So you do know some, but it's actually ridiculous how small the percentage of the content is what you've done at GCSE. You may think that you've got a pretty secure knowledge of it. You'll get to it and it will be and there's hardly any GCSE stuff applies to it. You don't actually realise how basic GCSEs are until you get to A-levels, and then it's whoa. Because say you got an A star, I got an A star in biology at GCSE, I basically know nothing now. I basically know hardly any biology. Literally, you could probably fit the entire biology GCSE into half a module at A-level, and there's 4 modules in AS, so that's saying something. So yeah, it was quite a big jump, and obviously I think one of the reasons that I found it so overwhelming is because I have very high ambitions. And obviously it's one thing me sat here saying, oh yeah, I want to go to Cambridge, I want to go to Oxford, and then another thing when you're sat there and you've got the specification and you just don't know how you're going to get there, if that makes sense. I like having a clear direction, and I think with GCSEs, at the end, that's what I mean. I had a clear direction, I knew I was going to get good grades, and it's that sort of security, and I just haven't got that security yet in A-levels. I want to get the best grades possible, but it's really hard to explain, but I just can't see a clear pathway, if that makes sense yet. Obviously I know I'm still getting into it, still basically getting started, but I'm just lacking security at the moment, and obviously that is a bit unsettling, especially when you've got such high ambitions like I do. So yeah, that's pretty much how I'm feeling at the moment. A lot of what I say in this video probably isn't going to make sense. I'm just going to put that out there now, because obviously this is how I'm feeling. I'm not making any of this up. This is literally coming from like my brain, my mind, my heart. So, and sometimes it is quite hard to put that into words, but I'm sure if you're in the same position as me now, then you will kind of relate to this. Another thing is, obviously, loads of people say, and I'm sure you've probably heard it a bajillion times, that A-levels are so different to GCSEs, it's such a big jump. And honestly, it's true, it's so true. It's different in every sort of sense. Even if you stay at the same school, the teachers that you may have had previously treat you in a completely different way. Like, you get treated completely different in year 11 than you do in year 12. I will say that you get treated a lot more like adults. Lots of the responsibility is left down to you. Teachers don't really chase you around as much to do stuff. It's sort of left to you. It's kind of like, if you don't do it, then that's your problem. And then the lessons as well aren't as slow as they were in the previous years. It's sort of like, especially I found this with my English class, it's sort of like, if you don't know, get to know. Also, just the style of teaching I've found is quite different. I don't really know how to explain it, but it just doesn't seem as like childish, if that makes sense. Obviously in year 11 that's not as childish, but I think when you actually start, you notice how kind of like, once again, basic GCSE was. It was sort of basic things you had to learn, and now it's just completely different. And yeah, I mean, you get used to it, and I'm getting used to it, and I do actually really like and I really prefer the style of lessons at A-level than at GCSE, because I pick things up quite quickly. I don't need to go over them 1,000 times for them to go into my head in a lesson anyway. And I think at A-level so far I've found it's gone a lot faster. Like biology, for example, we've already got through 2 sections. We've got through the first section of module 2 and the first section of module 3, and we've only been there for a month. So that's saying like how fast-paced the lessons are. But because of that, I found that you really do need to go back and look at what you've done that lesson, because if it's that fast-paced, and obviously there's so much information that you're learning, I found that you do need to sort of consolidate your knowledge. Otherwise, like, it just goes straight out, and then like you'll go into the next lesson and you'll be like, what on earth is going on here? Actually, that sort of like links to another thing that I found, and that is, especially for biology, I found it's really helpful to read ahead. So if you know what you're doing in your next lesson, also if you don't know, then you can always just ask your teacher. If you find out what you're doing in your next lesson, say you're doing like ventilation in insects, I don't know, then you can go ahead and read about that in the textbook, in your revision guide, whatever. And I found that that really helps, because then you're not going to the lesson like completely blind, and it's basically consolidating what you've already read instead of learning something completely new. And then it means that you are going over things like several times instead of like learning something completely new in a lesson and then moving on to something completely new in the next lesson, if that makes sense. So I'm going to talk a bit about my subjects and how I'm finding them so far. If you don't know, then I do take history, biology and English literature. So with history, it is a lot of work. It is my most dominant subject in the sense that I spend so many more hours doing history homework, doing history reading than I do for my other 2 subjects, literally like combined. I mean, there's just so much that you need to know for history. I'm not complaining though, I'm loving it. I'm especially loving the Tudors. That is one of the topics that we're doing, so I would bear that in mind if you are thinking about taking history A-level. I'd only really take it if you're passionate about it, because it is a lot of work and you do sort of have to have that motivation to do the work. Otherwise you will get quite behind and it will pile up a bit. But apart from that, I am loving it so much. It is definitely my favourite subject. Biology is my easiest subject. It's the one that I find the easiest, because I find it's just a case of sort of, you learn the information and then you just need to remember it, and that's it. There's not much else to it really. You just have to understand it, then consolidate it. It's really interesting as well. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I think that's probably going to be the easiest one throughout. because it's not sort of as heavy as English literature and history is. Well, it's not as heavy for me anyway, because it is a different learning style, and a learning style that I do pick up quite quickly and I can work well with. So I think that one is going to be quite good in that sense. Also in biology, I've really been loving like the dissections that we're doing. We have dissected a lung, we've dissected a fish, we have dissected a heart. Yeah, and it's like a bit disgusting, but I really like it. I get way too into it. Like, me and my friend Ellie, we were dissecting a fish head, and we were only supposed to find the gills, and we found them fine. And then we proceeded to completely like chop apart this fish in order to find its brain. We did find its brain in the end, but yeah, we get like worryingly into the practicals. Then with English, that is sort of the most different to GCSE that I found out of my subjects. It's most different in the sense of what's required for you from the specification. Like, it's been a month on now and we've only just started learning some poems because we've been doing contextual kind of research and consolidation for a whole month now, and obviously context at GCSE, it's not as dominant as it is in A level. You have to link literally like everything you say to context, but it has been really interesting. We're doing American literature, so we've been doing research on the Declaration of Independence, we've been doing research on the New Woman, white supremacy. It's been really interesting doing all that research because I'm going to be honest, like otherwise I don't think I would have ever got around to actually researching those things. So that's been really interesting in that sense. Oh yeah, if you were wondering, I have got like some grades back from like exam questions that we've done. So in history, we did a practice exam like source question for Nazi Germany and I got a D. But that was the first exam question that I've ever done and we didn't have much guidance on it. So honestly, like I'm not that fussed that I got a D. Obviously that does sound very different to GCSE, and it is very different because at GCSE history I was so used to getting like full marks all the time, and to get a D obviously is quite different. But my teacher wasn't going to tell us kind of what grades we got, but I literally like insisted that I knew, because as I said, I like having a direction and I like knowing like where I stand. So at least that I know, like I can write to a D standard at the moment, and I know that I can then improve on that and then get a C and then improve on that and get a B, etc. I just like knowing where I stand. And then for English as well, we did a comparative essay onto text that we looked at for the contextual knowledge, and I think I got a level 5 out of 6 on that. Obviously that's not a proper grade, that's just on the mark scheme, but I got a level 5 out of 6, so I was pretty happy with that. I've literally just realised that I've been sat here and in the background my calendar says September, so I've just changed that, so ignore that. Another thing that I found with sixth form is you do get a lot more freedom in the sense that you have a lot more free time. I have 13 free periods, which is a significant amount, like that is a lot. But I found that if you use those effectively, then it can be really, really good. Say you do your homework in those free periods, then I've found that you don't have to do as much at home, which is really good because then I can focus on other things like my YouTube channel. Obviously it is very exciting having free periods, and it is very tempting to not use them effectively. It's very tempting to sit there on your phone or sit chatting to your friends, but that is a case of self-discipline. I'm not saying that I haven't done that. I have wasted away several study periods in my time, but I do tend to use them generally quite effectively. I'd say that my time management skills are quite good, so I do get a lot done in them, which is very good when you have a lot of homework, because then it means obviously you have to do less later. I feel like with A-levels in general, it's just a whole game of sort of keeping up. That's something that I've really found with homework. If you keep up with it, then it's fine. If you do it like as soon as possible, then that's like the best thing that you can do, because if you keep leaving things as you get them, then it just piles up and you end up with this massive list, of homework that's so long and it just stresses you out. So I'd say like the best thing that I found to do is just do it as soon as you get it and as soon as like you can do it. Also, now that I am in sixth form, a lot of questions are being raised about sort of our futures, because obviously if you are going to university, then it's literally like less than 2 years away now. It's literally a year until you have to apply. I'm sat in the study centre and loads of year 13s in their UCAS personal statements, and it's just like, wow, that is going to be me in a year's time. And to be honest, it stresses me out a little bit because I don't really know what I want to do in the future, like career-wise. I get asked this all the time by people, I get asked this by teachers, and I just don't know yet. Sitting here now, like I can't bring anything to mind that is like definite. Like, I don't know, and obviously I want to go to university, and I've talked about that before, and I might do history at university, so that's something that I do know. But then it's like, what am I going to do past that? Because that's like 4 years, so obviously that's another significant chunk of my life. And then I'm going to be at university, and you know what I mean, like I'm going to be spending like however many thousands of pounds per year to do a degree that I'm then not going to know what to do with, if that makes sense, because I just don't know where I want to go in life. I mean, obviously at the moment I'm just going with the flow because it's not as important yet, but like in a year's time, like God knows what I'm gonna do. It just stresses me out a little bit because, as I've said like 50 times in this video already, I'm one of those people that likes having direction and likes having a clear plan, and I just don't have that for the rest of my life. Obviously I know you can't plan every single second of your life until you die, but like obviously like career wise and university wise, it is a question that keeps being asked. Now I'm in sixth form and I don't know, and I don't know when I'm going to know, so that's just where I stand at the moment. Basically, it's just a lot of question marks. A more positive thing though that I found at sixth form is that I have actually been socialising with lots of people that I never previously socialised with, even though we went to the same school. I used to be in top set when I was in year 11 and below, and honestly I think we were in a bit of a top set bubble. Our top set was pretty much the same throughout from year 7 to 11, so we pretty much stayed the same group. Some people left, some people joined throughout the years, but we were pretty much like the same core group, and we were all like really good friends. I got on with all of them, I'd call all of them my friends, but obviously when you're in such a small group throughout your whole time, you don't really tend to socialise with other people, because you do then have your friend groups within like your class group, if that makes sense. And obviously it does happen where you integrate with other classes and other sets, but that didn't really happen as much in top set, which is why I refer to it as a bit of a top set bubble. But now at A level we do have mixed classes, so I am in a class with people that are in lower sets, and it's really nice because I've met some really nice people, and I've met some people that I would now call my friends, who I would never think before that I'd become friends with. So for my enrichment as well, it hasn't actually started yet. I think by the time this video goes up it might have started, but basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a sort of Lydia studies workshop club thing. It's with a very select group of year 11 girls, and I'm going to be sort of guiding them in revision techniques and how to get the top grades, etc., because I think that would be really beneficial for them. They're all super clever people, and it's just a case of kind of helping them get the top grades and do the best that they can do. And then in other news, what else have I got going on? I'm part of the sixth form council as well. I put myself forward for kind of social events leader, but they never got back to me on that, so I don't know if I actually got the job or not. And nothing's really happened yet in the council. I'm hoping things do, because we did have some really good ideas for kind of social events, because that's another thing at sixth form as well. the teachers' kind of whole atmosphere isn't as focused on academics as such. They do want to encourage us to do more social activities, you know, go out for meals, have movie nights, etc. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to ramble about for A-levels. I mean, that's all I've got to say for now. Obviously, I've only been there for a month and a bit, so obviously I've not experienced the whole kind of thing, if that makes sense. I've only really got a taster of what it's like so far, but that is how I'm feeling, that's where I stand. So I just wanted to really update you guys. Well done if you made it this far into the video, because it's been going for a long time. This camera's been running for a long time. So congratulations if you made it this far. Thank you very much if you did make it this far. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to like, subscribe and follow my social media, which will be linked down below in the description. Bye guys!